Here's part 2, and we were talking about the parenting plan.
And then when my judge retired, and we had a new judge that came in, and abruptly changed it.
Okay, understood. But I know where we were. Something happened that, you had the change in the parenting plan, but then obviously that was in May. So we're now we're in January. So what happened?
So once the parenting plan changed and all the restrictions were lifted, there were similarly restrictions placed on his girlfriend that she had to vacate the home if the children were there. Various protective measures that were put in place for various reasons. All of those were lifted abruptly, and looking back, it didn't necessarily see this at a time because you were kind of putting out one fire as they came. And as things started to, go wrong, for example, I recall my daughter's school contacting us saying that she's had a great year and she's already coming to my office and needing redirection for focus and learning. I believe that letter came out May 25th, 26th.
So within weeks.
Within
weeks of taking primary mom.
My daughter does have an adjustment disorder. So, and if that seems odd, though it's not odd for abruptly changed children.
Yeah. No, so hear me out.
Yes.
There are many, many children. I'm an occupational therapist by background. One of my daughters, one has anxiety, one has ADHD, etc. When someone says they have an adjustment disorder, it essentially means that they need more time to transition.
Transitions are difficult.
By the way, all of us have issues with transition. But with the child, it's just more heightened. And I do want to say this, and I did blog about this piece of it, meaning from a health perspective, my daughter that has it, we had to bring her she was going from one grade to the next. Before school started, we'd bring her into the classroom, right? So she could see it. So the point is that if someone has an adjustment disorder and you're going to then, back in May, rip them and change them from primary to 50-50, that is insane. But so now you're saying within weeks of May of 2023, the judge changes something that's been essentially occurring for 3 years, and the school immediately writes or informed you that there's a change.
Her therapist had also written slow and steady is important, none of that was followed. And yes,
what happened to the first judge? Why did they leave? Why did you get?
She retired.
She retired. Okay.
And all of, at least that I'm aware of, all of the victims that are in Suffolk County probate of the same judge were previous cases under the judge that retired. It appears, at least from what I'm seeing, is that all of those cases were passed to her.
Wait, are you saying that when you say the cases of the 5? Are you saying there's cases that...
I believe that when Judge Ward retired, all of her cases got transferred to this new judge.
Okay.
I'm not certain of that, but that's the parallel as well that all of the known victims that I'm speaking to have.
Okay, so just to reclarify, you're saying that of the victims that have come out, they currently have Texera?
Yes.
And you think that they previously had Ward?
Correct.
Okay.
And that's in all similar stories. There were protective orders in place for the children, and those were...
lifted.
Yes, and in some horrific cases, forcing 17-year-olds to reconcile with abusers of 4 years.
And just to, validate this, in one of your conversations with one of the mothers, from what I heard you say, the mother's child was forced to go back with the father, and then they overdosed? What happened?
And this is very risky. I am speaking out when it's almost too late for what happened to my children. Similarly, for these women that are willing to speak publicly, it is risky, but they feel that their children are old enough that, it's already been ruined. Yes, the son had said that he was going to kill himself if he was forced to go back, and shortly after being forced to go back, he overdosed. To my understanding, he is alive and turns 18 soon. So she's at least thinking this nightmare has to end within the few months of his 18th birthday.
Understood. I take any proclamation of self-harm very seriously, and that's another story for another day. A dear friend of mine committed suicide in high school. So we'll go there, but another time. Now let's just get back to you, because you have, so now the 50-50 split, May 2023, changes, And
then the claims of being hurt happened. So the first weekend, actually, my daughter and I went to the Taylor Swift concert, but it was their father's parenting weekend, so we dropped my son off with her brother. So he was there alone, and my sister joined them later that weekend. When my daughter came home, she was having 2 major panic attacks about the transitions that had happened. We had to pull over twice on the car ride home, really bad panic attacks. And so I was triaging her all night. And so to be honest, I mean, my son was there, but I wasn't able to like dedicate one-on-one time to him because I was triaging my daughter. So once she calmed down, I was putting my son to bed, and I climbed in his bed, and that's when I saw a gash on his face. And I saw it, and I was like, oh, buddy, how'd you get that gash on your face? And he said, she shoved me to the ground and gave me a bloody nose. And I was like, what? And I immediately yelled to the kitchen, almost expecting my daughter to invalidate it. And I said, is this true? And she said, I didn't see it. And he said, it's while you were at Taylor Swift. And then she said, oh, well, actually, yeah, when I got there the next day, there was blood all over his bed. And Dad said that his nose was bleeding really bad. And I looked at his face, and you could see the dried blood still in his nostril. It was still actively. Now, if this happened on a Friday night, and by Sunday there's still blood, I panicked. I didn't know what to do. I called a colleague that also works at an ambulance. She said if it's still bleeding, that's something, to get looked at. We took him in to, I don't want to say emergency, but like it was, you don't call a doctor at whatever time it was. She verified that the nostril was indeed inflamed. He said exactly what happened to the ER doctor, who told me to follow up with the pediatrician. I followed up with the pediatrician. He told her exactly what happened. She filed a 51A, and a case was opened against their father's girlfriend. Multiple cases had been opened at that point. And then after that, more instances of injuries happened. So it was one thing at a time, and more deterioration. My son started peeing himself. He'd been fully potty trained. No matter how many, we travel a lot. And when I say travel locally, we overnight, we ski. I just took the kids to Disney World by myself, which, I don't know, there must be something wrong with me.
No,
if I took 2 children at Disney World by myself.
Supermom, I'm telling you right now, this woman is so dedicated to her children, and I am a third-party observer. I have gotten to know her. The bloody nose, I heard pieces of it, but we have been super hyper-focused on the daughter.
Correct.
And the more I learn, the more appalled I become. And so, again, we got a couple minutes left, but tell me so now we didn't even talk about that one yet. So now let's go back to the daughter.
There was just so much, and, he started peeing himself. Hotels, he could find the bathroom just fine. Lots and lots, the lawyers always said documented. I had extensively documented all the problems that were arising over the several months. And it got to the point where there was a physical assault on my son's birthday, which was on surveillance. 2 restraining orders were issued, one for each child then. And then it came to this instance here where massive panic attacks. There was another parent present. A crisis counselor had to be called because she was feeling suicidal. And
how old is she?
9. And she wasn't saying, I'm suicidal. She would say, I'm having thoughts. I wish I were dead. Life would be better if I weren't alive. I'm going to hold my breath till I stop breathing. It would be better for her brother. It would be better for her brother if she wasn't alive, because then maybe her brother wouldn't be forced to go to her father's house as well. There was guilt. There was all these things. And her pediatrician had told me, if these things come up, you'll, and it's that bad, you'll know. And I looked at my daughter and I said, do I need to call someone? And she said, maybe, yes.
So just because we have but a minute left, very alarming. Very alarming. I'm in healthcare, so you're not, but you're quite articulate and well-read. And so you did what you needed to do, and we'll finish this because we're going to run out, but you then went through the steps to do what you did. And how it ends is that the judge, because she obtained a restraining order, not because she went to get one, but because she went to get the police report, and the detective urged her after 2 hours, and she got it when she went back to court.
Oh, I was hysterical that I was going to get in trouble. She
was afraid to get a
restraining order. I'm going to get. He's like, that's not how it works. And I said, you don't understand. I was sobbing. I think in the police report, he said that I was like, it was hard for me to speak words at times. I was so terrified of getting in trouble. And at the end of the day, after he insisted, my